Awesome. Thank you very much, Daryl. And I'm just going to talk for a few minutes, and then I'll hand it back over. I'll hand it off to Danielle, and then I'll be talking kind of intermittently throughout the webinar, and then of course towards the end as well. But there's a couple of things that popped up for this, and you mentioned there, Ralph was talking about hey, good timing for selling those calls on now today. And there's a very specific reason that I did that, and it has to do with the kind of market that we're getting into right now. And we haven't actually seen this kind of market for a while. And so the idea with this is that if you've got a setup that you like, okay, and so in the past, we've been in this solid uptrend and the volatility has been low, and you've got the setup that seems to work all the time, but then the nature of the market changes. And then the setup, becomes a lot more volatile and a lot more whipsaw-y, which obviously can impact your consistency and impact your income and really, frankly, impact your confidence. It's like, is this something that I can do? Well, the thing with that is you do not throw out the setup, but you do change the structure of it with options, okay? And it's a little different if you're just buying the stock, because as we all know, the stock, which has a delta of 1 and no expiration date, the stock is the stock. You will see me doing a few different things in a market like this. And as an example, I'm in a situation like this, I'm much less apt to just buy a call if I can construct that as either a debit spread or a diagonal. We did that with the stock now in the room today, where we started off buying a call, and then the next day today, legged into selling a call against it based on exactly the principles that we're going to be discussing in tonight's webinar. And so the goal with this is that we find ways to continue to be able to extract money out of the markets, and essentially playing the game and understanding the rules of the game that's being played right now. And what we have is a market that's just going to be a lot more volatile. Ken, I think I turned the corner a couple hours ago. I was after the room session today, I passed out for about 2 hours, and so gosh, knock on wood, I think I may have kicked this thing, so I'd be very excited if that's the case. So the other thing I want you guys to keep in mind is that the S&P 500, although it did make a new all-time high today, okay, there's a very strict rule with hedge funds, and that is that the first time there's a retest like this, they fade the heck out of it, and then they wait for like a cup and a handle pattern, and then they buy it. So the idea that from here that we're going to explode higher, I think you've got to be very, very careful with. I think that not only do we have a good chance at pulling back strongly here in the near term, but secondly is that what you're seeing right now is just a basic rotation out of key brand name stocks. So money is coming out of Facebook right now and into Boeing. Okay, so if you're trading those stocks, do you just buy a call and hope for the best, or can you structure them in such a way to kind of put the odds in your favor if it's not going to go exactly the way you thought it would go, and continue to pull income from that? All right, so that's really the crux of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And then at the end of this, and the goal with something like this is always just to kind of give you guys some ideas that you can use on your own, and you get some benefit from this. And then at the end of this, we got a couple of things where we will have some live trading coming up if you would like to participate in that. And also, it's our first live event that we're going to be doing in San Francisco. We'll be talking about the details for that as well. So that's what I got. And at this point, what I'll do is Danielle has got an awesome presentation here. And so Danielle, I'll hand it over to you, and then I'll kind of let you roll with it. And then, if there's points where it makes sense to interject, I will. And then, of course, or just toward the end, kind of stop back up, and I can show some examples and things like that too. Ba-dum-bum. Very cool. All right, over to Danielle.
Awesome. Thank you, JC. Can you all see my screens? If you can't, you should just be able to click Danielle from the drop-down menu in the top right. Yeah, if you can't see them, just go ahead and click Danielle in the drop-down menu from the top right corner. Thank you very much, Steve. Awesome. Thank you, John. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about how I have adjusted my trading plan for 2018, and the varying strategies that I'm using now that I didn't use I mean, I did use before, but I didn't use as much. And we're going to be talking about that and why those are helpful in this type of market environment. So I wanted to start off with this picture in New York because, I mean, I went to New York City a couple weeks ago and I was so inspired even more in my trading journey than I already was. And I love this quote, and it just helps to remind me on a regular basis, you know, you cannot try, don't try to get away with partial effort if you want full results. I mean, you've got to really put in your full effort on something, especially something like trading, if you want the results that you're looking for. So for those of you who maybe have been frustrated by, you know, for those of you who have been maybe frustrated by this year, can you tell me? I want to know. I mean, how has your trading been this year? Have you been a little frustrated by the volatile market? Is it something that you're enjoying? Are you new to trading? Have you been trading for a while? Because, I mean, everybody has really different opinions. Some traders love the volatile market. Some traders don't. Best year in terms of profits, feels schizophrenic, little frustrated, love the volatility. As a scalper, I love it. 6 years and first year I'm breaking even. Hey, you know what? That's the second stage of trading, my friend. So once you figure out how to break even, you are so close to being able to really make the profits that you want. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Does it sound okay? Haven't mastered the volatile market yet? Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get into some of the changes that I've made and some of the strategies. Yeah, absolutely. News. So as a bonus tonight, if you stay till the end, you're going to get one of my famous checklists. For those of you who don't know me, I love making checklists. And this one tonight that I'm going to give you is going to be the surefire ways to blow out your trading account. So if you stay till the end, I'll go ahead and share that link with you. But let's go ahead and get started. So for those of you who have been trading for a while, or for those of you who haven't, remember the stock market last year? I mean, for me, and I'm a directional trader, so this is just my dream come true, right? I mean, we would have some bits and pieces in here where we would pull back. Usually it was North Korea missile news, something like that. We'd pull back and then just immediately rally higher, right? And each pullback was really just a buy the dip opportunity in which we went higher. It was a much easier market to trade last year from a directional long call perspective, just due to the fact that it just was not as violent. Now, this year, I mean, here's a chart of our S&P futures, and you can see how clearly this is different. So, you know, particularly this week in February seemed to come out of nowhere, but you know, there were a lot of factors which we're going to talk about in the actual in the class and throughout tonight about how you can use what you can use to quantify the overall market condition. But I mean, primarily, you know, when you're going through whipsaws like this, we really want to focus on what are the best strategies to use. So, you know, it really helps me if I think about the overall market like the weather, because honestly, the market does change like the weather. I mean, today in Austin, it was 109 degrees, and 3 days ago, we were having thunderstorms and it was 80, which by the way, seemed cold. But, you know, you really have to learn how to adapt to the changing market conditions if you are going to be successful as a trader. So, you know, let's talk about the changes that I have made. First of all, we always start with a trading plan. Who in here has an actual written trading plan? You do. Can't be a one-trick pony. You know what? That's great. I think I'm going to write that on one of my slides. Can't be a one-trick pony. I love that. Have a plan? Yes. Written? Well, if you don't worry. That's what we're going to be talking about. But Ooh, posted on the wall above the monitors, not sure what it would look like. Well, we're absolutely going to get into that. So first of all, a trading plan, it should be a living document that changes. So my trading plan from last year has shifted. It has the core, the foundation is the same, but it has shifted. So this year has brought a lot more political turmoil, emotional trading. So what is a trader to do? Well, first of all, we're always looking for high probability patterns, okay? We have to know where to look. And me personally, since I'm a directional trader, I like to seek out the strength in the market. This year in particular, pockets of strength, NASDAQ, tech, consumer discretionary. Last year, I love trading the financials, not so this year. But the goal is you have to find your favorites and then use that strategy and rinse and repeat on the regular basis. So first, we really want to examine that core trading idea. Markets are going to ebb and flow. They're going to look like this. You're never going to get something that's just going straight up. So what we want to do is we want to quantify those ebbs and flows. Through technical analysis, we can look at these ebbs and flows and we can measure those. And we can determine where high probability pullback zones lie. This is primarily done with Fib and technical analysis. And then also, we have to shift our strategy. So low risk option strategies that are meant for volatile market conditions need to be put into place in the right moments in time. That really is the formula for me. I just like to focus on the strongest tickers that behave the best, because even in a very volatile market, you're still going to have tickers that are going to behave. So those are the ones that we are seeking out. We want to stick with consistent time-tested strategies, and really, really importantly, we want to define our risk. So, and the intestinal fortitude is really key. You really have to work on your psychology in this type of market environment. So, we already talked about adapting, so I'm not going to get too much more into that, but, that is the goal here. So for those of you who don't know me, my name's Danielle. Like I said, I'm a very strict technical analyst, and I love, love, love Fibonacci. Who out here loves Fibonacci just like I do? Yeah, it's awesome, right? So Fib is a huge part of my trading strategy. And, I have been pretty much trained by Fib Queen. Is that Leo? Been trained by John, Fib Queen, Henry, Raghee, really everyone at the Simpler Trading team. So that's just a little bit of my story. I honestly, I came up with this 5-star strategy thanks to my mentors. So I was so lucky 6 years ago to stumble across this group. And what I did was I studied under each one of them. And it was really interesting because they, with the exception of John and Henry and Carolyn, who work close together, most everyone kind of did their own thing, right? So what I did was I studied each one of them, and I took a piece of each one of their strategies that was their own high probability setup. And so then what I did was I combined all of that into my own high probability setup that really is the combination of everyone here at Simpler. So what is that setup? Well, that is going to be the 5-star setup. This is my high probability confluence pattern that I know and love. You can use it in any market condition, but what you do is you change the option strategy. So the overall core technical analysis remains the same, while the option strategy and the percentage of risks that you use are going to change dependent on the market condition. So let's talk about what are some shifts that we have done. And does anybody recognize this? I mean, kind of has felt like this sometimes this year in this crazy market. But 3 main things that I can tell you that I have done, Henry has done, John, these are our main adjustments. Number 1, smaller size. Last year, during an amazing trending market, I was almost maxing my account. with long calls on the regular basis. This isn't really the type of situation where you can do this. So I'm trading smaller size. Number 2, wider stops. This is hard for a lot of people, but widening my stops out. However, those stops have to be within strict technical parameters. So even though you're widening your stops, you still have specific technical levels that you have to stick with. So that's very critical for the strategy. And then number 3 is going to be strategies where you can, tolerate this. So primarily that's going to be through the use of spreads, honestly. It looks like the Shockwave roller coaster in Six Flags Great America. Maybe. Yeah. So exactly, wider stops is tough for most traders. Absolutely. I understand that. But that's why you also lower your position size. So you got to lower that position size to combine that with the wider stops. And honestly, you'll find that really your trades work out more often than they would have if you had tight stops and larger position size. So the other thing too is psychology. Using correct market psychology, learning how to think about the markets in the right way. This is absolutely critical, and learning from mentors who know how to do that. So it's a very, very critical part of trading that just cannot be overlooked. So let's talk about, what setups do we trade? I know, especially for a lot of you who are around and are in the trading room, you're familiar with a lot of these different examples. For me, I love the 5-star. There's, of course, the daily squeeze, fib clusters, symmetry, earnings trade, run into earnings, triple squeeze, multi-squeeze, counter trend, reversion to the mean. So for me, my 5-star, that is my favorite. Can some of you tell me what your favorite trading strategy is? Because you really need to know, what your favorite setup is. Favorite setup plus favorite strategy. But during this webinar and this class, we are going to be talking about the 5-star. So let me go ahead and show you some. Yeah, yes, I am going to explain the 5-star. Absolutely. We are getting into the slides with all the charts right about now. Reversion to the mean is your favorite. Sell put spreads. What is the triple squeeze? We're going to get into some of that for sure. Now it feels like you were running blind before. Well, the thing is, in trading, you have to learn. You got to learn different setups, and then you have to figure out which one you like the best, because what you like the best may not be what I like the best, which is totally fine, because that's what is amazing about trading. We can do whatever we want. So when I'm going through charts in the trading room, when I'm doing my research at night, I'm looking for a specific pattern. That chart pattern is the 5-star. So why is square a 5-star to me? Anybody have a guess? Knowing that I'm a directional trader. Yeah, squeeze, absolutely. Keeps going up. It's all green. Nice trending chart. Squeeze near all-time highs. Excellent answers. So it's a combination of all those, right? So you have a trend. You have a perfect pullback to a fib level. Here's another one. Perfect pullback. You got a squeeze. We've been in that for about 2 weeks, and today it made new all-time highs. So when I see something setting up in square, I'm like, I'm on that, right? Because I love that chart pattern. Microsoft is another one. So Microsoft, everybody probably knows what a Microsoft chart looks like. Very, very similar to that square chart that I just showed you. But here's an example of the type of trades that I like to do on the 5-star charts. So, you can throw on some put credit spreads, but of course you have to know when to do it, what expiration. And then when it's really, really good, when it's a 5-star instead of a 4-star, that's when I'm throwing on some long calls too. But it's really important to note, when you want to do just the long calls, when you want to do just the spreads, or when you want to do the combination. So, very important note. Like I said, I trade many different setups, but this is the one that has worked best for me. However, it needs to be adjusted depending on current market conditions, and you really, really have to learn how to quantify those market conditions. So, like I said before, for those of you who are just coming in, if you stay till the end, you're going to get my surefire ways to blow out an account warning list. So that'll be coming up here at the end. Amazon. Does this chart pattern look similar to Square by chance? And, honestly, something that's interesting is a lot of the times we'll say, I don't even care what the ticker is, just cross that over. Doesn't even matter. What we're looking for is the pattern. But the point is, you find those patterns that you use that you can trade over and over and over again. And you're doing the same thing every single time you have that distinct moment in time, perfect technical pullback with the setup. So here's just an example of some of the trades that I had on. In this one, Henry actually suggested this butterfly here. That was awesome. So really cool butterfly suggestion by Henry. I normally put on the put spreads, and Henry suggested that one in the trading room, and I went ahead and picked that up and stacked those, a put credit spread with a butterfly, because Amazon calls are very expensive, but Amazon is my favorite 5-star setup. I trade it all the time, and I like to use defined risk strategies where I can put on regular setups on Amazon, like just over and over again. So, the point of the 5-star income trading strategy is that it's really more, it's just really more rinse and repeat. For those of you who know me, I love trading long calls. I love those directional bursts. Sometimes it's just not the time to do it. So you're selling premium, and premium is honestly the most consistent way that you're going to be able to make money in this type of trading environment. So as much as I love those long calls, you've got to know how to do both. So, like I was saying, you have to know the right moment in time. And to do that, you really have to focus on the absolute best of the best. Number one, you got to focus on the best of the best. We can still buy long calls on those, but for a lot of them, you need to be selling credit spreads. So here's an example of another one. Don't you need more capital to sell premium? So, the ones that I do are usually pretty small. I traded with a $12,000 account for years, and that was actually how I learned how to trade directional setups. So for the first, 2.5, 3 years of my trading career, I actually never even bought long calls, because when you're buying a long call, you have a trade price of $3, $4, $5, $7, $1,400. But when you're selling credit spreads, you can make them incredibly tight. You can make them $2 wide. And in this instance, I'm using $600 of buying power, and I'm probably risking $400 or so. So actually, that was how, honestly, selling credit spreads was how I learned how to trade the squeeze. And it was how I built up my intestinal fortitude. And as I got better as a trader, I learned how and when to buy long calls. And so now at this point, I stack them, sell some credit spreads, buy some long calls. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about the difference between the 4 and the 5-star. So to use the system, and of course, I picked out this awesome fib staircase because I love Fibonacci, but you need to be able to identify a 5-star chart, which is not, as long as you follow the rules, you'll be able to do it. Number 2, the knowledge of premium selling option strategies. And number 3, the right mindset. You have to have your head on straight. You can tell what makes a 5-star chart, but it takes practice and patience to learn it for yourself. And, don't mind my numbers here. I got so funny. I'm like perpetual Microsoft person for life. And I got to use these Google slides at work. And when I switch them over, it switches my numbers. Yeah, head on straight is a big challenge. Well, that's why we're going to be talking about psychology. Patience, there is the rub. All right, so what is the 5-star setup? Everybody wants to know. Here is what it is. So these are the components of the 5-star. Number one, you have to have a solid trend. I got this part from Henry, right? Henry's like, you know, you got to follow the trend. Follow the trends. Easiest thing to do. All right. Number one, very critical. You must be following the trend for it to be a 5-star. If I'm looking at a chart and it is not a trend following chart, even if it has fib, even if it has a squeeze, even if it has a run into earnings, it is not a 5-star because it has no trend. That is the number one most important criteria. So that part was from Henry. This part right here, fib analysis. I primarily use symmetry. I think that symmetry is one of the easier Fibonacci concepts for most traders to learn. And honestly, it's just about identifying the personality of a chart. You just need to look at a chart and say, hey, what does this ticker normally do? All right. Is it acting within the bounds of normal behavior, or is it doing something crazy? For example, Facebook and Netflix move on earnings. That would not be acting within the bounds of normal behavior. So I use fib and symmetry to quantify that. That, of course, comes from Carolyn. Now, squeeze. This is the high probability moment in time to jump on the trade. Absolutely, to be a 5-star, you got to have the squeeze. The squeeze is our moment in time where we can jump on something that's about to explode. Entry point. If you're chasing, if you're too far behind, it's not a 5-star. If the thing has already broken out to brand new highs, this is not a 5-star trade because you are officially behind the curve. So you need to know how to quantify the entry point. Now, this part is very critical. So this is really the tide and the boat type situation here. And if you want to go back to the other slide where I was talking about the variety of different setups that I like and that I use, such as the triple squeeze, such as the run into earnings, such as a fib cluster, all that kind of good stuff. This is where that comes into play. So what that is it's a confluence, okay? It's a confluence where I already have a setup in and of itself. Maybe it's the triple squeeze, for example. Maybe I'm going through my charts and I find a triple squeeze. Okay, that's a setup just by itself, even if it didn't have all this other stuff. But when it has everything else here, it's like the double whammy. So that can also be solid fundamental analysis. I like to use IBD 50, but really it's the extra little something that brings the trade from a 4 to a 5-star. Now, there's going to be times where, because in the market, everything's not perfect all the time. There's going to be moments in time where everything's going great and shooting off to the moon. There's going to be other times where setups are few and far between. There's also going to be other times where I say, hey, this is a cool 4-star chart. So what does that mean? Maybe, for example, I know my entry's late and I say, okay, well, whatever. I'm going to accept that my entry's late, but I'm still going to take it. That's fine. As long as you accept that and you know that, you just understand you're taking a star off. There's also going to be times where you have everything else lining up, but you don't have a squeeze. Okay. It can still be a nice trend following chart without a squeeze, and you could still trade it without a squeeze. It's just that with the squeeze, it's going to be much better. So does that make sense? Danielle, are you looking for the squeeze to be at a fib pullback level? Yes, absolutely. What makes a pullback one with an edge? That is going to be a combination of really moving averages and Fibonacci technical analysis that tells you at what point in the chart it's pulling back at a good point for you to get in. So why yes, high short interest absolutely can be the oomph. Do I ever trade a stock that's not in a squeeze? Oh, yeah, I do, but I really like the squeeze. What time frame makes it a triple squeeze? That, that's what is super awesome, because you can actually, that's what's awesome, is because with the triple squeeze, I mean, you can trade whatever time frame you want. I mean, if you just want to, trade something on a shorter time frame, you can. If you want to trade it on a larger time frame, you can. For me, preferably, I generally go to trade like a daily 195 and daily 195 and 78-minute chart. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about put credit spreads for a minute. Who sells put credit spreads? Me. Yes, absolutely. So, people ask me all the time, like, hey, why don't you ever sell call credit spreads? And it's like, well, I mean, honestly, because the market is trading up, it's going higher. What I do in my work is I look for strength in the market. I'm not looking for weakness primarily. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But there's nothing wrong with selling call credit spreads. It's just, for me in my work, with my focus as a 5-star setup, what I focus on is looking for strength in the market. I want to find, hey, where is the strongest index? Where is the strongest stock? Okay, now how do I go in and sell, premium on the strongest of the strong? We will be selling call credit spreads before too long. Yeah, well, we absolutely could, for sure. But, you just never, right now, in the market condition that we're in right now, this is what is working. So this is what I'm focusing on right now. Oh, thank you so much, Willie. I've learned so much from you after following SO for a couple years. I'm finally starting to make trades and get involved because of you. Oh, thank you. Yes, I am newer to trading, and I used to be a teacher. I did leave out. I'm going to get to that slide in a minute, tell you a little bit more about myself, but I figured a lot of you have probably seen my webinars before and knew a little bit about that story. But, the thing that I love about put credit spreads is that you can decide for yourself how much you want to risk. If you want to risk $250, great. If you want to risk $5,000, that's great. If you want to risk 25K, that is great. That's what's awesome about put credit spreads, is you can go in your options chain. You can decide how many contracts. You can decide your width. You can, a lot of the times I would just go in and sell credit spreads, like I said, $250 wide. So, that was how I built up my knowledge of the trend follow. So, and the other thing too is, like, selling premium is slow and steady. Absolutely. Going up seems to last a while, coming down is sudden and dramatic. And that's why it's really important to quantify the market condition. Credit spreads are your bread and butter? Absolutely. Absolutely. Me too. So, part of the mission here is, I want to help you. I want to help take full advantage of the profit potential that's available to us as options traders. I want to teach you how to follow a simple strategy that really did transform my life. And to become consistently profitable, really, you need to learn how to sell credit spreads. I didn't want to get too much into the whole story, but I mean, for those of you who don't know me, this was me 6 years ago. I used to live on the beach in Costa Rica. I was a teacher. That's me in my 6th grade class. Riding the bike down the street. These are my 2 dogs. Layla, I named her after the Eric Clapton song, and Rhodey. And now, after learning how to trade options, that is me sitting in our studio making videos how to teach others. Yeah, your challenge is defending the credit spread where the market moves against you. Absolutely. Well, we're going to talk about that too. So, you know, what I have for you coming up is I have a 5-star income trading system class. So during this class, which John's going to be helping me out with the psychology session, we are going to cover these 7 things. So we're going to learn about how to quantify the market condition, what to trade, and when. I mean, when is a good time to sell credit spreads? When is a good time to buy calls? How do you adjust that? How do you adjust your risk? What about symmetry? How do you add that in there? This is going to be heavily focused on credit spreads, the good, the bad, and the ugly. A lot of people who come to us, they ask me, hey, well, what about these out of the money spreads? Should I do this? Should I do that? Which is better? We're going to walk through exactly during this class how to sell them, when to sell them, and most importantly, why. So we're going to go through, we're going to create your income trading plan. We're going to talk about risk management and your top 20. It's going to be my top 25-star list. So I'm going to give you my top 25-star list that'll help you selling your premium in the right spot. So, you know, again, yes, that is Leo. I did not want to leave my son in daycare, and that was why I started options trading to begin with. I mean, I just absolutely, you know, I had to learn how to trade options so I could stay, work from home, and be with him. And, you know, learning how to trade options enabled me to do that, and it was absolutely amazing. And now, you know, there's me and John in the studio making a video on trader psychology. That was a good time. So now this is what I do every single day. I used to be an elementary school teacher, and now I get to teach trading, and it is absolutely amazing. So when I was a beginner, I mean, I was completely a beginner. I didn't even know what bullish was, what bearish was. I was so lost. And so, yeah, I was completely lost. And at this point in time, I mean, you can see this is what I'm doing now. So how long are your work days? So when I first started trading, I actually was a freelance photographer, and I would trade for about 4 or 5 hours a day. And I would carry my laptop around on my photography jobs, and I would listen to John and Henry, and I would trade from my Surface tablet in my car. So here is the link to the class page if you would like to check it out. It has all the details on there of what exactly the class is about. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up for you, but it's simplertrading.com/5. So what we're going to have is we're going to have a Saturday class for 4 hours, and then we're going to have 3 days of live trading. And that's going to be from 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. and then from 2 to 3 for 3 days. John has agreed to do a special psychology session for you as a part of the class, and I'm also going to be doing my own psychology session as a part of the class. So for all of that, that is what comes within the strategy portion. We also have the pro portion available for live trading. And yeah, exactly right. And this is really awesome. So we are going to be having a live trading mentorship actually in San Francisco, October 29th and 30th. And so with this package right here, you actually get 2 days of attendance with this class. So those are our options that we have for you, and I'm happy to take your questions. And I also have the bonus that I promised you. So my
Hey, Danielle, I may add a few things about the class here too.
yeah, John, come on.
Sure. If you want to just scroll back, or you can go to that slide or just show the different things there. So so a couple things here. First of all, if you're a gold member, by the way, all those prices just take $100 off. So $397, $697, then of course $1897. Now, if you're not a gold member, all you got to do is there'll be a link on the sales page where you can become a member for like $7. So even if you don't ever want to have a subscription in your life, it's $7. Take advantage of it for 30 days and then cancel. So that's totally fine to do. I just want to kind of slide that in there so you guys know. Now, what I'm going to be doing for the live trading is I will, and we'll probably schedule an extra hour or two of live trading, but where Danielle is going to be focused on a lot of the stuff that she talked about in terms of credit spreads too. I'm also going to kind of step up and spend a couple of hours showing some more advanced strategies above and beyond that. So not getting too complicated, but just kind of, the idea of legging into these things. If you want to start off with a call and then turn it into something that can kind of, give you more of an edge in the situation, and then also how to read these kind of market conditions. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll spend a lot of time in there. And again, that's just $697 if you're a gold member for that middle slot. And then, the elite one is always fun. So this is one where it's one of those, if you like that live event kind of a feeling, and the idea of a live event, which is nice, and I have, pros and cons of going to a live event. So the cons are, it's like, if you don't live in the area, you got to travel, there's hotel and stuff like that. But the pros are very, very distinct and clear, is that anytime you deliberately immerse yourself into something where it's going to be uninterrupted for 24, 48 hours, you make exponential leaps and bounds of insights that otherwise would have taken you 6 months. I'm always excited to work with Danielle because it's like in terms of how everybody looks at the market a little bit differently, right? So, as Henry has learned from me, I've learned from Henry. As Danielle has learned from me, I've learned from Danielle. And where one of my strengths is being able to look at a market and understand it, and then kind of intuitively start figuring things out in terms of, man, what would be an easier way to read this? Danielle is strongly analytical. Well, she'll go like, well, I just want to see what's been working. And I'm going to take what John says and what Henry says and what Carolyn says and what Raghee says, and I'm going to take the best of all that and make it my own. And so it's a great kind of a team approach that way. And so on something like this, where you'll get, this rigid, time-tested checklist, from Danielle during this class and kind of how the stuff works, then I can kind of come in and add and say, well, look, based on these market conditions, here's a few things you can actually layer on top of that if you're so inclined to give yourself a little bit of an extra edge there. So the class on something like this, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It is well timed out in terms of the market conditions we're facing right now. And I will talk a little bit about, as I'm doing my sessions, some of the big picture outlooks that's impacting the market right now. And it's stuff that you just want to be aware of. What's going on in China? Is the bear market in China going to impact the US? What's going to happen with rates when they rise? And you just want to be prepared for that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that we'll be talking about, and it should be fun. And I'm excited to be able to do an event in San Francisco. We've never done a live event there. The closest we've gotten is LA, and that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. So I'm super excited about that, and it'll be great. So for those of you that are into this, I'd encourage you to do the live event. Remember, at this point, the live event is very early bird special. So if you want to take advantage of that, you guys get first dibs. Otherwise, looking forward to working with you guys on the strategy class and or the live trading class, and should be good. And then, are there other live locations planned? I believe in March we're going to be doing one in Austin. So we typically do about two-ish live events a year. Now, I did hear, for those of you that, I don't know how many of you guys did the live events with us, we used to do them at the Mandarin Oriental in Las Vegas, mostly just because I love that hotel. And they are switching that out to the Waldorf Astoria. So I think, for old time's sake, next year, we're going to have to do one in Las Vegas at the Waldorf so we can check it out.
That's a great idea, John.
I hope they, yeah, Daryl, I think that's the first thing I was going to double check. Did you guys upgrade the internet?
Absolutely. What other
Awesome.
questions do you guys have?
Danielle, there's a question on the pillars of trading.
Absolutely. So the pillars of trading class, I mean, that was basically the foundation class that I taught last week. So that is that was really based on the very, very basics that you need to know. That was geared towards brand new trader who doesn't know anything about Simpler, doesn't know anything about the squeeze, or someone who has been with us for a while and they're struggling with directional setups. So that was focused on how to trade long calls with the squeeze, how to write your trading plan and trading journal. This is a higher level class based on premium selling that involves a combination of fundamental and technical ideas. And also, of course, you know, you have the symmetry aspect there too. So the pillars of options class, yes, you can absolutely still take it. I'm sure I can find the link around here somewhere. But that was honestly like a step 1, where this is more of a step 2. Did I get your email?
The hotel.
Sorry, go on, John.
Is the hotel that we got in San Francisco, is it that seedy 1-star hotel near the wharf, or did we get upgraded?
Oh, I don't know. I'm excited to go to San Francisco. I love San Francisco. You know, I almost went to college there, and I'm really, really happy to go back and have a live event. You know, the live event was actually where I met John, and I thought I had a slide on that. I'll show it to you guys a different time. But when I first met John, I was at a live trading event there, and I was brave enough to ask a question after 3 days of sitting in the seminar. And he embarrassed me so much. He pulled me up on the stage and made me draw a fib extension in front of everyone. And that was how I met John. So now I'm working here. So it was a great time at the live event, and I love going to the events. I love meeting everyone, and it's just a really good way to meet other traders and you know, just get to know other people, because trading is a lonely thing, and when you can meet everyone, it's just an awesome thing.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. Danielle, do you want to switch over to the slide that shows, or I guess scroll up? I saw somebody had a question just when the dates were for the live trading.
Of course.
Now, for those of you that don't know, Danielle had a scare earlier. She was trying to get into the office. We have a downstairs office and an upstairs office. And apparently, did you set off the alarm? Like if you don't address it quickly, the police actually show up, which is awesome. So that was really cool.
I did.
And so that's actually better than having coffee.
Yeah, I was coming up here to get ready for the webinar, and I have my office is kind of separate from everyone else's, which I actually love now because I can blast my music and everything. But yeah, I set off the alarm and it was a little terrifying, and I couldn't turn it off. So got me ready for the webinar.
Okay, so somebody's asking about the live trading for the Pro package, and of course that applies to the Elite package as well. So it'll be August 28th, 29th, and 30th, which I believe is next week. And it says 8:30 to 10:30 and then 2 to 3. Those are the scheduled times, but we may end up doing a little bit more than that just to make sure we've got enough time in there to kind of get everything squeezed in. And then, of course, you can see that the strategy class is on Saturday, the 25th, which is upcoming.
Which is also my birthday. So happy birthday to me.
Awesome. Great way to, I you know what, that actually is a kind of a cool way. I think I did a class once on my birthday. It was actually kind of fun.
Danielle, earlier you mentioned high short interest as being the one thing that could give a setup an edge. What is considered high short interest? I mean, it depends on the chart pattern, but usually 15-20%. So it depends. You know, it can't just have high short interest. It has to have a combination of technical factors at the same time. So we're not going to just, you know, go get long something with high short interest. You really have to, it has to be the combination. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear you're drawing symmetry on your own. That's great. Symmetry is an amazing thing. Do you have a course for day trading with stocks, longs and shorts? The last class that I did, the pillars of options, that was focused on really, I mean, you could use that strategy. You could use that strategy for day trade or swing trading. Honestly, I just swing trade primarily. I'll throw on a day trade every now and again, but I do not have a class on it because it's really not a strategy that I use very often. So if you want to learn about how to day trade the squeeze, I would look at the pillars class. What's the difference between strategy and pro? So the strategy class is going to come with the 12-hour, I'm sorry, not the 12-hour, the 12 to 4, the 4-hour strategy class on Saturday. And it's going to come with an hour from John and an hour from me. That is a separate trader psych session. The pro is going to have the 3 days of live trading. So you're going to get an extra 9 hours at least of trading time with us. And then the elite portion is going to have the exclusive in-person seminar. How different is your income strategy from John's income strategy course? So are you talking about weekly wires? So weekly wires, John didn't really use the squeeze so much in that course. That was more of a following the trend type course. And also it didn't have symmetry in that, if I'm correct, John. So this
Correct,
is going to be,
not.
yes. Yeah, it didn't have symmetry, right? So Weekly Wires was a trend following course, but this one has the combination of the squeeze, fib, and also the fundamental kicker. So it's really just the, primarily, I mean, it's the technical setup on that chart, if that makes sense. Will a video replay of this webinar be available? Yes, absolutely. You are going to be sent a recording. So it's great. He may be offering a class, but on what? Are you talking about John? Brand new. I don't know who Raghee is. I know you through CML and Ophir. Awesome. So if you go to simplertrading.com/traders, that is where you're going to have an introduction section of all of our traders. But I mean, basically with a gold membership, if you sign up for the gold membership, it's a trial. You can cancel it at any point if you are not satisfied, and you can still finish out your full month. But I highly recommend you checking it out, because what we do here is we teach the strategy on the weekends, in the evenings, and then we put that strategy to life really in our trading room. So if you want to learn the strategies, the best time to do that is going to be throughout the class, because like I was saying earlier, in the trading room, we're going to be going over all different types of strategies, whereas in a class, we're going to focus on one strategy and make sure you can nail it from A to Z. What happens if you sell put credit spread and a huge drop? What happened in Facebook happens? Could you have known not to sell put credit spreads right before it dropped? So you can never know completely what's going to happen, but by using strong technical patterns, you can narrow down the type of events that are going to happen like that. Of course, in options trading, that stuff is going to happen sometimes, but that is why we go through and quantify the overall market condition first before placing any type of trades. And it's also why we always control our risk, and we control our risk based on the overall pattern on the chart, plus, the overall market condition. So I have different risk parameters that I use. And at the end of the day, put credit spreads are defined risk spreads. So you go into it risking what you're willing to lose in case of that type of situation. You can say what you want to do. Kiki B? Yes? What's the difference between live trading with a pro package versus what we do in the trading room? What you do in the trading room is going to be a combination of all types of strategies. In the live trading for this class, we focus on how you trade this strategy. So it's a repetitive thing. You want to learn. What you want to do is you want to learn the strategy and then you want to put it into place. So in the live trading section for the class, you need to focus on just that strategy. And John said also he was going to throw in a couple other strategies in there. And that's how you learn it, so that then when you go to the trading room, you understand when I say, oh, this is a 5-star and this is the trade I'm doing. So, we only have an hour long on our trading room sessions. And we take off a lot of trades. We don't really have the time to go in detail, step by step. This is why I'm doing this here, there, and otherwise. And the difference between the pro and elite is that the elite is going to include the in-person seminar in San Francisco. We're going to have 2 days at a hotel in San Francisco where we're all going to get together and we're going to trade, we're going to talk. It's going to be awesome. And that's how, you can meet other traders and ask questions in person. Because, for me personally, being able to ask and answer questions in person is just very, very critical.
And I think I had made a joke earlier that it was a seedy 1-star hotel. It actually is a 5-star hotel. So just to clarify that, in case it's a to do something like that.
Absolutely. No, the room is not included. So the cost of the seminar, this would cover the cost of the seminar, and I do believe that we have lunch and breakfast usually included in that, but the cost of the room is not included. Yes, absolutely. So the bonus, yep, here, I'll go ahead and send you the bonus, Fran, for those of you who may have missed it. What about computers? Do we bring our own? Yes, you bring your own laptop. Compliment. I have been through quite a bit. I never paid for a chat room until the last year, but hands down, this is the best I have joined. Awesome. Thank you so much. Will the in-person seminar be recorded? Yes, absolutely. We always record everything we do. We're like the NSA. With your watch list of names, approximately how frequently do you set up trades per week, per month? Well, it's completely dependent on the market condition. So especially with a strategy like this, you're looking for pullbacks in the marketplace. So whenever those pullbacks happen, and this year they have been very frequent, that is the opportunity to jump on. So, at any moment in time, I generally have around, 8 or 9 positions on, that kind of thing. And I usually will put on, I'm always cycling through them. I will stay in my trades from anywhere between 2 days and about 2 weeks, but I'm always cycling through my trades. So generally I'll put on at least 1 trade per day. There are some days where I'll put on 3, some days where I won't put on any, but I'm always cycling through. What is the difference between the TTM and the grab candle? So I think John can better answer exactly how the TTM trend is created. Honestly, I love the fact that the grab candle has 3 different colors. So it has the green, the blue, and the red. So the green is obviously for the uptrend. The blue is kind of like the warning candle. It tells you, hey, there's something shifting here. And then the red is obviously the downtrend. So yes, Daryl, thank you very much. So as far as the math behind it goes, I know that the grab candles are based on the 34 EMA and where the candle is plotting. But I've used both of them, and I love the grab candles as far as using them with a trending strategy. So I may be unavailable for the Saturday strategy session. I prefer them live to the recording. Would you consider offering 2 psychology sessions standalone? The 2 psychology sessions are standalone. So John's psychology session is going to be on August 28th from 4 to 5, and mine is going to be on August 29th from 4 to 5. Thank you. Daryl says the trend is the average of the previous 6 bars over or under, and the grab is a relationship to the 34 EMA, high, low, and close. Awesome. Thank you. Will the live seminar only focus on income generating strategies? You know, that is the best part about live. You just never know what is going to come up. So there may be some more aggressive strategies to do, but you just never know. So I like to stack them a lot too. So if I have a situation that is awesome, 5-star setup, I like to stack my long calls and credit spreads. But yeah, I mean, we just never know what's going to happen with the live trading.
Yeah, what's interesting is when there's live trading is that you may, say the class might be, and I remember this happened, I think on the income generation class I was doing, and it's kind of like, okay, the markets are sleepy and this is what we want to do. And then of course, like the second live trading day was this explosive move. Well, that day you want to take advantage of the strategies that make the most sense in that day, right? So, what's nice about stuff like this is that you learn a strategy, so you got the 5-star setup and it's like, okay, well, if the market is doing X and you see a 5-star setup, then yeah, you're going to buy calls and hold on for the ride. And this is the checklist you're going to use in that event. But then if you've got a market like this where there's news driven, currencies are going crazy, gold's getting hammered, and that's impacting the indexes and making them more choppy and more volatile, then this is the checklist you want to apply in those situations. And so what I found what we got right now is a market where, if you've got 20 trading days a month, 16, 17 of those trading days are exactly that. And those, you're still going to have those 3 or 4 trading days. It's like, all right, this is the day where we buy calls, but you're not holding them as long anymore. Like I bought long calls yesterday and now, but I only wanted to have exposure to long calls for about 24 hours. Today, I turned it into a diagonal for exactly the reasons that Danielle will be talking about on Saturday.
Yeah, if you're having problems with the options gold and discount code, just make sure that you log in before you try to buy the class. So if you want to, let's see, I'm already logged in, as you can see right here. But if you're not logged in, it'll show you right up here in this top right-hand corner. It'll say log in. And then it should give you the discount code. And if you have any questions or issues, you can email support@simplertrading.com and they will absolutely help you out. Everything is recorded. Yes, psychology sessions are recorded, everything. Waiting for live seminars to come to Houston. I think we could probably convince Daryl to do one there if the World Series happens to happen again. Awesome. Well, are there any more questions? I see a bunch of, scrolling. Oh, Dan, I don't know, but I'm sure that you can email support at Simpler Trading. In a luxury box at Minute Maid Park. Absolutely. John, do you want to talk about gold at all?
Well, so gold this will be part of what I'll talk about during I'll kind of briefly go over during the event or during the class, kind of a big picture outlook. But gold is a victim right now of the currency wars that are taking place. And there are massive currency wars going on, completely unexpected. It's unraveling a lot of the hedge fund strategies that have been used this year, and gold right now is the victim. Now, at some point, when those currency wars come to an end, gold will pop higher. So it's just things like that. It's just good to be aware of, so it's not, not caught blindsided.
Absolutely. Well, I really hope to see y'all in the class. working really hard on putting everything together for you so it's very cohesive and you're able to take that and follow it from A to Z. And of course, you know, we always love doing live trading as well. And I love personally the actual in-person seminar. So really hope that you're able to sign up and we'll see you there. Again, you can go to simplertrading.com/5 to get to this page. That's going to take you right to these links. And yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and email support. But thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, the recording will be sent to your emails. Awesome. Well, I hope you have an excellent rest of your evening. Good trading. And for those of you in the trading room, we will see you there tomorrow.
Cool. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Oh, Danielle, how do they get your bonus?
Oh, you got to click on it. This link right here. I just posted into the chat window and also the presenters post area. If you click on that link, you will get right to the bonus. I'll pull up this page right here. And then you can go ahead and download your document. Hasta la vista.